Selamat siang, selamat pagi, very good morning everyone. We are actually still waiting for Ibu Artati to join the session, but maybe we can start now as we wait for her to join. So I'll just do some introduction, and maybe if she can join later, and we will just shift her turn to speak. Will that be okay to everyone? Oke, ya, silakan Pak. Partisipan yang eksporter ada semua kan? Masuk dulu sini. Today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, and may peace and prosperity be upon us all. On behalf of the organizer, Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Singapore, in collaboration with Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of the Republic of Indonesia, Seafood Industries Association Singapore and Singapore Food Agency, I would like to warmly welcome all of you to webinar and virtual business matching on fisheries today, November 11, 2020. And we are delighted and honored to have the prominent speakers today to grace us with their presence. We have Ambassador of Indonesia to Singapore, His Excellency Suryo Pratomo. Selamat pagi, Bapak. We are still waiting for Ibu Artati Widiarti from the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. And from Singapore side, we have Mr. William Tan, Chairman of Seafood Industries Association Singapore. Good morning, sir. And we also have Mr. Pe Ziyang, Manager, Industry Development and Partnership Division, Industry Partnership Food Business Development, Singapore Food Agency. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the webinar and virtual business matching is the first series of our virtual events on fisheries. And today, we feature 14 Indonesian seafood exporters, particularly on frozen and chilled seafood products. This event is also conducted as our efforts to continuously connect Indonesian exporters and Singapore importers amidst the current pandemic of COVID-19. And the 14 companies that we feature in random orders are 1. PT Jaya 9, located in Semarang, Central Java. PT Fresh On Time Seafood, located in Bogor, West Java. PT Prima Pangan Madani, located in Jakarta, PT Nusantara Alam Bahari from Jakarta, Perum Perikanan Indonesia from East Java, PT Siger Jaya Abadi from Jakarta, PT Prima Cakrawala Abadi from Semarang, West Java, PT Sumber Mina Samudra from Bali, PT Sekar Bumi Group from Jakarta, PT Bumi Menara Internusa from Surabaya, PT Sentral Proteina Prima from Jakarta, PT Kelola Mina Laut located in Gresik, East Java, PT Pas Desa Adika Sakti from Banten, and PT Kausar Maritim Jaya from Depok, West Java. And these companies, ladies and gentlemen, they are located in different parts of Indonesia. We hope after this event, we will have other events with exporters from fresh seafood commodities or any other exporters based on the needs in the future. And before we begin with the remarks of the speakers, we would like to inform the participants that after the remarks, there'll be question and answer sessions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and you can also leave your question at the chat box. If you want to ask question, you can indicate it in the chat box as well. And if the time permits, we will answer the questions, and we will also note down for our reference. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, let us now commence the event by listening to the remarks of the Ambassador of Indonesia to Singapore, His Excellency Suryo Pratomo. You may have the floor, Bapak.
Thank you, Marlisa. So, Director General of Product Competitiveness, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries Indonesia, Ibu Artati Widiarti, will be joining us later. Chairman of Seafood Industry Association Singapore, Mr. William Tan, representative of Singapore Food Agency, Mr. Pek Siang, representative of Fisheries Industry from Indonesia and Singapore, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and best wishes to all of us. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome you all at the webinar and virtual business matching on fisheries organized by the Embassy of Indonesia in Singapore in collaboration with the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of Indonesia, Singapore Food Agency, and Seafood Industry Association Singapore. I'm very happy this morning because not only 3 speakers who have already attended this webinar, but more than 44 attendees directly join with webinar and more than attendees watching us from the YouTube. So as the largest archipelagic country in the world, fisheries play an important role to Indonesian economy, which accounted for around 12 million of workers and contribute 2.65% of Indonesian GDP in 2019. If we look at the eastern part of Indonesia, like Maluku, we can feel there's any pandemic COVID-19 at that area. COVID-19 not affected too much to economy at that region because fisheries activities still running well. The people over there call the fisheries as a blue gold. So if we look at the Indonesian economic growth, we are not contracted more deeply because agriculture and fisheries still grow positively. Fisheries has also become one of the main sources of food security in Indonesia, since most of community live in coastal area. So if you want to have a good human system and to avoid COVID-19, please eat more fish. Former Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries Indonesia, Ibu Suci Pujiastuti, jokingly always warn us that she will be sinking everybody not consume a fish. With this significant contribution, the government of Indonesia has committed to promote sustainable fisheries, among others, by actively combating illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. As a result, Indonesian fisheries export has increased in the last 5 years, with main destination to United States, Japan, China, ASEAN countries, and European Union. Indonesia has always been Singapore's key fisheries suppliers, and we hope to continue to do so. However, it is important to note that based the data from the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, the fisheries export from Indonesia to Singapore has not significantly grown in the past 5 years. So as the ambassador of Indonesia in Singapore, it is my duty to strengthen the two countries' economic trade, including the fishery sector. This is the very reason why the embassy is organizing the event today. We want to enhance business-to-business relations between the two countries virtually, since meeting in person with each other in the time of pandemic is not as easy as before the COVID-19 pandemic. At this event, we hope to connect 14 fisheries companies from Indonesia with their business counterpart in Singapore. I'm convinced that a closer relation will lead to mutual trust that bring new business opportunity for both sides. I'm so pleased to be reported that there will at least 15 B2B meetings after the webinar, and I expect there will be more requests to come as the line is still open. Ibu Artati, Pak William, Pak Siang, this event is one among many business-to-business fisheries events that the embassy wishes to organize in upcoming months, as we hope to continue connecting as many stakeholders as possible to their counterpart in Singapore. We plan to organize another event for fresh fish sector on November 25th and on digital fisheries in early 2021. I was informed that members of seafood industry Singapore still wish to visit and meet their counterpart Indonesia. I believe we can help organize this in the future since Indonesia and Singapore has established the reciprocal green lane or travel corridor arrangement between Indonesia and Singapore. We hope that this arrangement will help facilitate essential travel for business from both countries, including from the fisheries sectors. Finally, I would like to thank all participants who are kindly joining us this morning, and Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Seafood Industry Association in Singapore, Singapore Food Agency for their strong support. Let me assure you that the embassy team and I are always open and ready to respond to your inquiries and to enhance economic relations of the two countries. May you have a productive webinar and business matching. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Bapak Dubes Suryo Pratomo, for gracing us with your speech. Indeed, it was very interesting points when you mentioned that Indonesia has a large potentials of marine and fisheries, especially because we are archipelagic country. And also it's very interesting when you mention the expression, a famous expression from our former minister, Ibu Susi, that we have to eat a lot of food and also to sink the ships. So ladies and gentlemen, let us now move on to the next speaker. We will now listen to the remarks of Mr. William Tan, Chairman of Seafood Industries Association, Singapore. Can you unmute?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Good morning. Hi, good morning. His Excellency Suryarmoto, Ambassador, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Indonesia. Mrs. Atirati Waratiti, Director General of Product Comprehensive, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fishery, Indonesia. Mr. Peziang, Manager Industry of Development and Partnership Division Industry, Development Singapore Food Agency. Distinguished partnership, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I'm glad to join you all in this opening speech for these events. Indonesia has always been Singapore's key seafood suppliers. Despite COVID-19, seafood suppliers from Indonesia are minimally disrupted. We are very happy to have this event together with all of you here. While logistics for air freight and containers did experience some slight delays, fresh seafood arriving via boats and largely remain constantly. Over the years, Singapore traders have been working closely with Indonesian processors and exporters to the rest of the world, and we see this trend to continue in many years to come. This is a very great news from both our countries. Indonesia and Singapore. My team members has also in discussion with some economic department of Indonesia embassy to see how we can improve on documentation and allow Singapore to re-export Indonesia seafood to our clients in Europe and others region. Lastly, I will wish company from both countries to have a meaningful and successful business discussion later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. William Tan. It was a short and brief speech, but I highlight one important point that Indonesia has been key food suppliers of seafood from Singapore. So today, the webinar is very timely, and it's very good that we have the webinar to meet the exporters from Indonesia and also importers from Singapore. So ladies and gentlemen, as we are still waiting for the Ibu from Ministry of Fisheries, may I just now proceed to Mr. Peh Ziyang from Singapore Food Agency to deliver the presentation. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Ziyang here from Singapore Food Agency. Okay, so I will just share my screen. Give me a moment. Can you see it? Yeah, okay. Hi, okay, so hi, my name is Ziyang. I'm from Singapore Food Agency. I'm from the Industry Development and Partnership Division. Okay, so the Singapore Food Agency is formed on 1st April 2019 with the mission to ensure and secure a supply of safe food. So by having oversight over the entire food supply chain, SFA is able to better streamline processes and strengthen Singapore's food safety and supply. This is especially crucial as Singapore is a small city-state of about 5 million population. Although we do have our farms here, Singapore relies mainly on imports for the majority of our food. Hence, much emphasis has been placed on diversifying our food sources. So to do so, we do not depend on one strategy alone. SFA developed the Singapore Food Story, which comprises 3 strategies, termed the 3 food baskets. I will elaborate on these strategies in the subsequent slides. Our first food basket is to diversify import sources. So it is no coincidence that Singapore is importing food from more than 170 countries around the world. This is a government-driven and industry-led effort to diversify our food sources. So with many competing uses of land in Singapore, we rely heavily on food imports. We must diversify our source to ensure that our food supply is resilient to global food supply fluctuations. So to do so, we introduce the industry to new food sources through sourcing trips and business networking sessions like what we're having now. So hopefully we can explore and accredit more import sources to facilitate industry diversification of sources. We also work with importers to adopt plans to mitigate against supply disruptions. So this is an overview of the food safety assurance for import control. As you can see, all traders are required to be licensed or registered with SFA. These are for importers. For the high-risk item, many food products of animal origin and live oysters, import is only allowed from SFA-approved sources, while the rest can be allowed from all countries. At the point of import, importers are required to apply for import permit and submit supporting documents like the health certificate, phytocert, or certificate of analysis for permit will be issued. For fish and seafood products, import is allowed from any country except for chilled shark raw oysters, chilled cockle meat, chilled cooked shrimp, chilled crab meat, and live oyster spat. So these items are prohibited as they are subjected to high manual handling after processing and are consumed raw or partially cooked. These items are also not amenable to hold and test, and hence we cannot test to ensure food safety before they are released for sale. For live oysters, import is only allowed from nations which meet requirements for National Shellfish Sanitation Program. This is to ensure that exporting country has a proper monitoring program for such products. So the approved nations currently includes Australia, Canada, France, Ireland, Netherlands, New Zealand, United Kingdom, USA, and Japan of the Mi Prefecture. Yeah. So in addition, product species listed under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, must be accompanied by CITES permit. So similar to meat products, fish consignments may be inspected and sampled for laboratory testing before sale. Labeling is also similar to meat and meat products for traceability purpose. Yep. So as you can see, Singapore has imported approximately 130,000 tons of seafood worth from Singapore. It worth approximate 870 million in 2019. So you can see our seafood sources are quite diversified, and from Indonesia, we have quite a large percentage of about 22%. So of all these imported seafood, 53% of them are frozen and 47% of it are fresh. So these are some of the top imported species for Singapore. So the top imported one will be fish items such as mackerels, scat, and eel. So we also import quite a bit of prawn, shrimp, crab, squid, cuttlefish, and clams. So this is just a snapshot of the seafood industry in Singapore. So SFA, we work very closely with the three main associations in Singapore. SFMGA, Singapore Fish Merchant General Association, Seafood Industry Association Singapore, which is represented by Mr. William Tan here, and Punggol Fish Merchant Association. So the majority of the fish chilled seafood will come in via the seafood wholesale market located at the two fishery port at Jurong and Senoko. So for the category of frozen seafood, they are usually imported directly by the companies and do not go through any wholesale seafood wholesale center. So maybe I'll just share of the consumer patterns here for Singapore. Okay, so Singaporeans, they are typically very price sensitive. So traditionally, Singapore, we have a few reliant sources for our food, and these are traditional geographically close to our country, like Indonesia. So Singaporeans are very used to the low prices for the produce. Hence, these are usually the importers' first consideration when they talk to exporters of other countries. However, in Singapore, we do have various price food establishments. So besides purchasing our own ingredients from supermarket, we have a variety of food establishment that sells food with a span of prices. These range from lower price hawker centers, $3 to $5, depending on cuisines, medium price restaurants, $20 to $40, and of course the high-end restaurants that cost $50 upwards. Singaporeans are perhaps more ready to spend on restaurants versus hawker center and food court. However, most of the population dines at hawker center and food court for our comfort food, which are generally low priced, and importers are aware of this. Hence, price for seafood sold at retail needs to be continue being kept at affordable to stay competitive within the domestic market. This is it regardless being fresh, frozen, or processed seafood. Yep. So that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pezzi Yang, for your presentation. And I take note that Indonesia has 1/5 of the total supplies of seafood for Singapore. It comprised of 22%. So indeed, it is a very big potential for us and for the exporters from Indonesia to export to Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to another presentation, I would like to remind that you can ask questions in the chat box. So if you have any question, you can just type in the chat box, and later on we'll also provide the question and answer session. Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, para peserta, apabila ada pertanyaan dapat diketik di chat box, dan juga pada sesi tanya jawab nanti dapat langsung menanyakan apabila ada pertanyaan. So I will now continue, and I obtained information that Ibu Artati is now still in urgent meeting with the minister. So we have Pak Mahmud Suteja. Selamat pagi, Bapak Mahmud.
Pagi.
Yeah, Pak Mahmud Suteja is the Director of Marketing, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. And you are going to deliver the presentation on behalf of Ibu Artati. Ya,
Okay.
Bapak? Iya,
Yes.
silakan Bapak. You may have the floor.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, we convey an apology and greetings from my director, Ibu Artati Widiarti, especially to His Excellency Bapak Suryo Pratomo, Indonesian Ambassador to Singapore. Because on this occasion, Ibu Artati has other activities that could not be represented, and Ibu Artati asked me to deliver her remark. As mentioned before, I'm Mahmud. I'm Marketing Director, Directorate General of Product Competitiveness, the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of the Republic of Indonesia. Okay, now I would like to deliver my DG remarks as follows. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and best wishes for all of us. His Excellency Bapak Surya Pratomo, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Singapore, Mr. Peh Ziyang, Manager Industry Development and Partnership Division, Industry Partnership Food Business Development, Singapore Food Agency, Mr. William Tan, Chairman of Seafood Industry Association Singapore, Indonesian Exporter and Singapore Importer, distinguished participant of webinar and virtual business matching Indonesia-Singapore 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, in this auspicious moment, allow me to convey my deep appreciation to Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Singapore and Seafood Industry Association Singapore for great collaboration to organize this great event. The Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of the Republic of Indonesia is supportive to this event by facilitating contacts with Indonesian business people or exporters. And we see the virtual business matching has become one of alternative steps in the middle of restriction for face-to-face meeting. I am very proud of having the opportunity to deliver a brief presentation and sees this paramount opportunity for promoting Indonesian seafood to Singapore market. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is blessed with abundant resources in terms of water, number of islands, coastline, fish species diversity, etc. These huge resources combined with the implementation of the sustainable marine and fisheries make a huge contribution to Indonesia fisheries production. The capture fisheries production in 2019, for instance, account for around 7.5 million tons, while aquaculture contribute to around 16.3 million tons. Indonesia current policy to support marine and fisheries sector are focusing on optimization, and strengthening aquaculture, improving communication with fishermen, awakening fisheries industry, managing seas, coastal and small islands, and strengthening human resources and research innovation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 5 years, export of Indonesian fisheries product has increased steadily at 2.5% per year in volume and 5.8% in value. This export growth is mostly contributed by 5 main commodities, such as shrimp, tuna, cephalopod, crabs, and seaweeds. In the period of January to September 2020, Indonesia exported fisheries product around 916,000 tons, or equal to 3.76 billion US dollar. This figure saw increase both in terms of value by 7.92% and volume by 11.26% compared to the same period of 2019. There are 5 main market destinations for Indonesia's fisheries products, namely United States of America, China, Japan, Asian, and European Union. If we look at export by commodities, most of Indonesia's shrimps, tuna, and crab products go to the United States of America, while China market is the main export destination for cephalopods and seaweed products. Meanwhile, Asian market is still dominant and highly prospective for tuna and cephalopod products. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the export trend to Singapore market unfortunately goes in the reverse direction. In the period of 2015 until 2019, export of Indonesian fisheries product to Singapore shows negative performance, decreasing at the rate of minus 5.52% and 16.70% each year, both volume and value respectively. It is therefore cooperation between Indonesia and Singapore to conduct business matching and other activities to improve trade of fisheries product between the two countries needs to be enhanced. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at this event, 14 Indonesian fisheries exporters have joined this business matching, and we highly recommend Singapore importers to make contacts and do business through this event. I strongly believe doing business with Indonesia seafood will sustainable benefit your business. We also committed to facilitate business linkage and similar events in the future to help more, especially Indonesian small-scale business people exporting seafood product to Singapore. To conclude my remarks, I wish a fruitful result from this event and everyone has a great and blessed success. Good luck. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. There's Ibu Artati remarks, Director General. Then I will return to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bapak Mahmud Suteja, for the presentation. And I highlight one point that even though the export of Indonesia to Singapore has the tendency to decline, but of course we still have untapped potentials of the exports to Singapore, because as what Pak Peh Ziyang mentioned, we have a very big market of seafood to Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have the question and answer session. If you have questions, you can write it down or type it down at the chat box. You can also indicate if you have questions, then we will open your window and you can ask question directly. Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, apabila ada yang ingin bertanya, boleh diindikasikan atau boleh disampaikan lewat chat box, dan kita bisa membuka window Bapak Ibu untuk memberikan pertanyaan, atau boleh juga diketik di chat box. Silakan apabila ada. And we will also have the representative of SIAS on behalf of Pak William Tan to answer the questions, if any. Yeah. We actually have one question at the chat box. Saya minta kontak Chairman of Seafood Association. So Bapak Toto Suryanto, he asked about the contact of Chairman of Seafood Association. If you can kindly open the website of Singapore Industry Seafood Association, you will have the contact there with all the companies. Jadi Bapak jika ingin mendapatkan kontaknya bisa langsung di Google, kemudian di situ ada kontaknya di Google di websitenya. Dan juga ada alamat email yaitu seafoodindustries@yahoo.com.sg. Mungkin bisa disampaikan apabila ada pertanyaan ke mereka. Yeah, while we are waiting, we have now Mr. Kenneth Chia on behalf of Pak Michael Tan, I believe, to answer the question. Oh, sorry, Pak William Tan. We have two questions as we are waiting for the attendees to ask questions. Number one is, what are the current challenges of doing imports of seafood from Indonesia to Singapore? I remember that Pak William mentioned about the logistic issue, but maybe Mr. Kenneth, you can elaborate more, or also maybe Mr. Yi Zhang, if you can add to the answers of Mr. Kenneth, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Ambassador. Okay, the import of seafood into Singapore actually is very easy, but the best person to answer this is actually our friend from Singapore Food Agency, Mr. Zi Yang. Okay, but I can only share from experience of our imports over the years. So basically, to import seafood into Singapore, all you need is a health certificate from your government agency. Okay, and the rest are all trading documents. It's very straightforward. Unless it's products like cooked canned crab meat, as well as oysters. Okay, there will be inspections for them, and it's quite stringent.
Kok di unmute? Okay, you may continue, Pak Kenneth.
Okay, yeah. So the question was how easy or how difficult it is to import into Singapore. As I said, it's actually very easy. Singapore has been is a very open economy, so there's no additional taxes. So beyond that, it's really just the health requirements. And really, I think Pak Ziyang can answer much better.
Yeah, I think before Pak Ziyang answer, I will translate your answer. I'll summarize in bahasa Indonesia. Jadi tadi Bapak Kenneth Chia menyampaikan bahwa karena Singapura adalah negara atau ekonomi yang terbuka, jadi pada dasarnya persyaratan untuk melakukan ekspor ke Singapura itu cukup mudah. Bapak dan Ibu hanya perlu mendapatkan sertifikat dari badan atau institusi di Jakarta dan juga dokumen-dokumen yang terkait dengan perdagangan atau ekspor impor. Namun apabila Bapak Ibu mempunyai produk misalnya daging kepiting yang kalengan atau yang sudah dimasak, maka persyaratannya mungkin akan lebih rigid atau lebih kaku, akan ada inspeksi yang akan dilakukan. Seperti itu kira-kira Bapak Ibu jawaban dari Pak Kenneth. Dan bagi para peserta apabila ingin menanyakan dalam bahasa Indonesia juga silahkan, nanti saya akan coba rangkum pertanyaannya dan saya akan translate ke bahasa Inggris untuk para panelis. So basically, I was just summarizing your points, Pak Kenneth. We can now proceed to Pak Ziyang, if you have any additional comments on that.
Sorry, if I may add. Okay, so because the original question was products into Singapore,
yes.
But from Singapore traders, over the years, we are also doing export and re-export to the rest of the world. So this is the part whereby, as we have discussed with the economic department a few weeks ago. So we also need the support from your government agency in regards to the documentations. So for example, if we want to export seafood product to Europe, there are now more stringent requirements of documentations over there. So if the government agency who are preparing the documents can also work with Singapore's, maybe with SFA or with our companies, traders to match the documents suitable for export to Europe, that would be great. All right, so.
Ya, baik. Thank you Pak Kenneth. I will just briefly summarize. So tadi Pak Kenneth mengatakan bahwa Singapura selain mengimpor komoditas seafood dari Indonesia juga melakukan re-ekspor atau ekspor ulang. Jadi Singapura juga melakukan ekspor ulang ke negara-negara lain, misalnya ke benua Eropa dan Amerika. Dan tentu saja persyaratan untuk ekspor kembali ini agak lebih kaku dan agak lebih ketat. Oleh karena itu beberapa waktu yang lalu Pak Kenneth juga telah bertemu dengan kami dari KBRI Singapura untuk meminta bantuan apabila badan atau institusi yang di Indonesia juga dapat membantu untuk memudahkan atau melengkapi semua persyaratan untuk re-ekspor ini. Jadi mungkin ini juga bisa di take note oleh Pak Mahmud, Pak, bahwa ada keinginan juga dari importir Singapura untuk melakukan ekspor kembali komoditas seafood dari Indonesia untuk negara-negara lain di benua yang lain seperti itu. Ya, so Mr. Kenneth, is that all? I can proceed now to Pak Ziang. Silakan Pak.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you.
So I think as what Mr. Kenneth has pointed out, the restrictions for import into Singapore for seafood is relatively low. So we are always encouraging more free trade of seafood into Singapore. So as for why the import has actually dropped, we might maybe based on our statistics, and our conversations with merchants, we do note that exporters, they tend to choose other countries, maybe in terms of pricing and all, that Singapore might not be as price competitive as compared to other bigger countries. So this is why the imports into Singapore has been directed to other countries instead of going through Singapore itself. So this is just one of the phenomenon that we are experiencing now for our countries. And I think the association members, maybe you can also agree with me that this is some of the things that you all face when you are trying to talk to Indonesian companies as well. Yeah.
Ya, thank you Pak Ziang. Jadi tadi Pak Ziang juga menyampaikan bahwa ada kendala dari harga. Biasanya harga yang disampaikan oleh para eksporter itu tidak masuk kalau harus masuk ke pasar Singapura dulu. Oleh karena itu yang menyebabkan ekspor ke Singapura itu agak mengalami penurunan karena banyak eksportir juga yang memilih untuk langsung melakukan ekspornya ke negara yang lain. Seperti itu mungkin jawaban dari Pak Ziang. Okay, we can now proceed to other question. I saw ini dulu ya. Yeah, I saw the question from Kan Huat Sangki. Can we get all the vendors' contact instead of contact all of them individually via email? We will later on provide the contact to the related companies. We are in collaboration with SIAS to provide the contacts of all the companies. Jadi apabila Bapak dan Ibu menginginkan kontak dari perusahaan-perusahaan, nanti akan kami siapkan dan akan kami distribusikan seperti itu. The next question, bacanya. Yeah, I would like to ask from Ibu, maybe Ibu or Bapak Juwinda Juwandi. I would like to ask to Pak Mahmud, may I know why is the reason the decrease of fishery product in 2019 and what is the obstacles to export seafood from Indonesia to Singapore compared to other countries? Pak Mahmud? Bapak? Ditulis dulu itu pertanyaannya yang tadi dilihat dulu. Pak Mahmud atau mungkin yang mewakili? Okay, next is the question for Pak Daryl Tio, seafood export. Ini juga, this is also the question for Pak Mahmud. Okay, so for the questions addressed to Pak Mahmud, we will later on refer to him and also his staff at the ministry, and we will provide the answer later on, yeah. And the next question is from Bapak Zaitun Rizal. In bahasa, apakah ada demand untuk produk olahan ikan seperti empek-empek? Maybe Pak Peh Ziang and Mr. Kenneth, you can answer. Is there any demand of processed seafood products? Like, for example, we call it empe-empe in Bahasa Indonesia. Maybe it's similar to fish cake. Do you have, inquiry or you have demand of fish cake and other processed seafood products to Singapore or maybe to re-export to other countries? Maybe you both can answer these questions, please.
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Kenneth speak first.
Okay, maybe I'll try to answer this. Okay, Singapore, we do import quite a lot of processed seafood items. For example, surimi-based products like fish ball, fish cake, ota-ota. Okay, so these are the kind of products we do produce in Singapore. We do import as well. Currently, I don't have the numbers, but I believe other than our own Singapore productions, we have quite a few manufacturers who are also buying the surimi raw material from Indonesia as well. We are also buying the finished products from Thailand, from India, from Malaysia, and Vietnam as well now lately. So, but I used to see surimi products like fish ball coming from Batam. Okay, but now not so much. Okay, hope this answers some of the questions.
Ziyang, you want to continue?
Yeah, so maybe for just add on to that. So actually, Singapore, we do have quite a big of Indonesian community that's here in Singapore. So actually, if you're talking about demand for the impact, I think there will still be, if I'm not wrong. So I will also note that for this impact, the taste and texture is somewhat similar to what we have here in Singapore, like the fish balls or fish cakes. They are locally made. So in terms of taste, but Singaporeans might opt for more for the locally produced one, because you might go for that. I mean, it suits their taste buds better than the impact, which more suit the Indonesians' taste buds a bit more. So maybe this is why there is not that much demand, but the demand is still there. Yeah, I mean, Singapore is always welcoming all the different products here. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you both panelists for your answer. I'll now summarize. Jadi pertanyaan dari Bapak siapa tadi? Pak Zaitun Rizal. Pada dasarnya Singapura juga menerima produk-produk olahan Bapak seperti fishball, otah atau fish cake, dan juga tadi Pak Ziyang menyampaikan bahwa demand untuk empe-empe itu ada, tapi memang karena populasi masyarakat Indonesia juga di Singapura cukup besar. Namun demikian kalau untuk lokal, maksudnya penduduk atau masyarakat atau warga negara Singapura, mereka lebih memilih yang rasanya lebih khas atau lebih cocok dengan lidah mereka. Makanya mereka lebih prefer produk-produk olahan yang diproduksi secara lokal di Singapura. Namun demikian, permintaan produk-produk olahan juga tetap ada. Dan tadi juga Pak Kenneth menyampaikan bahwa mereka juga banyak mengimpor produk olahan seafood dari Thailand, dari Malaysia, dari India, dan juga dari Vietnam. Utamanya seperti fishball, fish cake, dan juga seperti otah. Ya. Okay. This is a question that I obtained. This is a question addressed to the ambassador, Pak Suryo Pratomo, Bapak. If we have problems for logistic, can Embassy of Indonesia assist with the problems? Mohon izin, silakan Bapak. Apabila kita ada kendala untuk logistik, apabila melakukan ekspor, apakah Kedutaan Indonesia, KBRI dapat membantu permasalahan tersebut?
Yes, of course, the role of the embassy is to assist everybody who have any business in Indonesia or in Singapore. Last month, the Garuda Indonesia has already opened the direct flight for logistics. So I think you can use the facilities, and yesterday the manager of Garuda Singapore have already informed me that the number of volume to export to Singapore have already increasingly from South Sulawesi and also several area in Indonesia. So I think the government of Indonesia is, of course, will be support and trying to find a way especially for the logistics. So I think we have a lot of transportation to support that needed. So don't worry, my colleague in embassy, Ibu Hastin and Ibu Marlisa, will be ready to assist you every time you have a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bapak, for your answer. I would like to summarize in bahasa Indonesia. Jadi apabila Bapak dan Ibu eksporter dari Indonesia memiliki kendala, khususnya dalam bidang logistik, maka KBRI tentu saja akan siap membantu untuk memudahkan problem atau mengatasi masalah atau kendala logistik. Dan tadi Pak Dubes juga sudah menyampaikan bahwa Garuda Indonesia juga menyampaikan bahwa ekspor dari Indonesia untuk seafood dari Sulawesi Selatan dan juga kawasan timur Indonesia sekarang pada saat ini mengalami peningkatan karena baru-baru ini Garuda Indonesia juga membuka rute penerbangan dari Makassar ke Singapura, dan penerbangan itu khusus untuk kargo komoditas ekspor dari Sulawesi Selatan dan kawasan timur Indonesia ke Singapura termasuk seafood. Demikian Bapak ya kira-kira ya jawabannya. Oke, terima kasih Bapak sekali lagi. Now I will move to one last question. Yeah, one last question from Aslam Basir. Aslam Basir, saya Jerry dari Perum Perikanan. Apakah ada permintaan produk angoli, kerapu, tenggiri, tuna? Karena kami punya stok ikan tersebut. So I think this question is addressed to Mr. Kenneth and Mr. Ziyang. Is there any demand for ruby snapper, round scat, Indian mackerel, and also grouper and tuna, because they have the stocks of such commodities? Please.
Hi, Basir. Okay, so anyway, these are the popular products that Singapore do import. We import them fresh as well as frozen. So I think after the event, if I'm not wrong, the participants will be able to get contacts for some of our association's members, contact details, so you can contact us directly.
Pak Kenneth, maybe Pak, yeah, Pak Ziyang, you would like to ask some points?
Okay, nothing from my side. So as what Mr. Kenneth has mentioned, these are more of the popular items. So yeah, there's definitely a demand here. And I think we will just leave, I think after this session, there'll be a business meeting session, one-to-one session. So maybe from there, you can get a more insight details or more insight, like information of what you actually require from the importer itself. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. So the answer Pak Jerry adalah produk-produk yang Bapak sebutkan termasuk produk-produk yang high demand, yang permintaannya tinggi. Jadi tentu saja untuk produk tersebut ada pasar untuk Singapura. Setelah ini, setelah sesi webinar ini kita juga akan ada one-on-one B2B meeting, dan kami juga akan menyiapkan daftar-daftar perusahaan. Jadi mungkin nanti setelah webinar ini Bapak dan Ibu akan menerima informasi dari kami. Nanti saya akan sampaikan apa alamat email di akhir acara yang bisa di email ke kami, dan kami akan memberikan informasi yang kami siapkan untuk Bapak dan Ibu sekalian. I believe that's all for the question and answer. If you still have further questions, just type it down at the chat box. We will try to refer and to accommodate and to answer the questions. So, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the webinar and virtual business matching on fisheries for today. And I would like to remind the exporter and importers that B2B one-on-one meetings will commence at 11:30 a.m. And we will send the link of the B2B meetings via email for those exporters with inquiries from Singapore importers. I also would like to inform you, yeah, so 11:30 is Singapore time. It means that it is 10:30 Jakarta and western part of Indonesia time. Jadi saya terjemahkan dalam bahasa Indonesia, pertemuan one-on-one B2B akan dilaksanakan jam 10.30 waktu Indonesia Barat dan 11.30 waktu Singapura. Dan untuk Bapak dan Ibu yang menerima permintaan B2B dari importir Singapura, kami akan mengirimkan linknya lewat email. I would like to remind you once again that we will also conduct a similar event on November 25, 2020. And this event will be focusing to companies that export fresh seafoods. So if you are interested with our next event, please email us at economy@indonesianembassy.sg. Economy is ECONOMY. Ekonomi dalam bahasa Inggris, economy@indonesianembassy.sg, and we will send further information of the next webinars from the emails we obtain from all of the exporters that send us email. And allow me, on behalf of the organizer, to extend our appreciation to all parties who made today's event possible. We would like to thank Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic of Indonesia, Seafood Association Industry Singapore, Singapore Food Agency, and also our friends and colleagues in the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Singapore. And we would also like to thank you, Pak Dubes, His Excellency Bapak Suryo Pratomo. Thank you, Bapak, for gracing us with your presence and for delivering the speech. And last but not least, to all participants, we thank you very much for your kind attention and participation, and see you in our next event. I am Marlisa Supeno. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang.